to psychologically convince us that we have no right to not support a foreign nation by calling everybody.
To be perfectly honest, I don't think anybody, at least in my opinion, that's a true MAGA supporter wants to convince Candace of anything. I would not want Candace. I would not want to try to convince her of anything, because I just wouldn't. Just let her go. But if she thinks that MAGA or anybody is trying to convince any of them, no, we already see who you are. We see who you are. We see where you want to stand. We don't expect you to change. And we know why you're doing what you're doing. So, quite frankly, Candace, nobody wants to convince you of anything. Nobody would even bother to try. Because this was the road that we knew you would go down. When real MAGA supporters, who are silenced, because the real MAGA supporters are, didn't trust you from the get-go because, well, God Almighty told us not to. That spirit nudge told us. Then none of this path that you've gone on has been a surprise. But I don't want to try to convince any of them, because I think they know the road they're on. I do. I think at this late stage of the game, I mean, just look at how it's all playing out. You have all these countries coming up against Israel. It's prophesied in the Bible. And these people helped. They helped. So I don't think we would ever be on the same page. I wouldn't want to convince you. Now, many Christians would say, no, you should try to save all people. No, it's not about saving. Some people, this is somebody that claims that, and this isn't me bringing up the Bible because of some verse in it because of Israel. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying this is a woman that claims to be Christian, yet, her absolute hate at a nation the size of New Jersey is beyond, like, what it should be. It's ridiculous. What I find so laughable is all of these countries, and the Candace Owens and the Joe Rogans and all of them I bring up, that do all that. This is all to pressure America to force Israel to stop. And again, we want the American hostages back. So it's just the way it is. They don't care about the American hostages. Anyway, but they do all of this to pressure America because they know Israel listens to America. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why they do it. That's what liars they are. That's how much they lie out of their mouths. Because I've watched this for 30 years. That's what they do. Every country, everybody internationally, and a ton of liberals, and in this case, people that were former liberals. They never were former liberals, okay? They claim they were MAGA for a while, and they never were MAGA. Have pushed this envelope that Israel controls America. Yet every country that does this, that we're going to see Israel or see Palestine as a statehood, all of this is to pressure America, because they know that it's America that can stop Israel. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yet they want to be so nasty and call themselves Christians and lie out of their mouth and say that Israel controls us. And as I've said from the beginning, they've never controlled us. Never. The minute we say stop, they stop. They do. They do. I've always seen it. That's always how it's been. Because again, we are their best friend. We are really their only friend. So they're not, I mean, and again, all we'd have to do is like, well, if you're going to start behaving this way, we're just going to pull military equipment from you. You know, we just would stop giving them military equipment. But so that's, I mean, that's a lot of times they have gotten so pissed off because we've told them to stop. They have. But they stop. But this is the game that's played. You get these liberals, you get the international community all putting all this pressure on about Palestine. This has gone on for 30 years. It's unbelievable that so many people keep falling for this. I mean, I guess maybe in the age of social media, it's easier to fall for because they can do the pictures and the videos at even greater scale, you know. But it's simple. Where the pressure has always should have been being put on, and it never is. It never is. Is when Yasser Arafat was in, the pressure should have been being put on him and the Palestinian Liberation Organization. They were the terrorist organization then. Now it's Hamas. They never put the pressure on Hamas. The UN doesn't. The UN's so corrupt. The UN's just a disgusting organization as far as I'm concerned. Martin Luther King, by the way, was tied to it. I mean, he was tied with this Ralph Bunche because he did some march to the UN. Because part of the concerns, even the CIA, it's in the files, the CIA said that King has pivoted. He's pivoted from U.S. U.S. and civil rights to international civil rights. And so that's why no civil rights, I mean, you could say they were addressed here, were they? I guess to some degree. But it was all this global thing. And yet Ralph Bunche, who at the time, when, you know, King had done his march, which I think was in 1966, 67, something like that, because he was all protesting the Vietnam War, was this Ralph Bunche was, he had received a Nobel Peace Prize, and he was this big African leader, okay? And except he was once very involved with Palestine. Mm-hmm. Interesting how it all seems to connect back to the same problem. Yeah, all of it does. I mean, it really does, you know. You can, the Epstein to Russia hoax to the Clintons to FBI, CIA, because in my opinion, again, they became very corrupted under Kennedy. And after Kennedy, well, a bunch of communists got a hold of it. But it all goes back to that. It goes back to that time period. Because everything went to shit then. You know what else came on the scene, interestingly enough, especially in the 60s and 70s? It was the beginning of your dark metal bands. Ozzy Osbourne. You know, considering he just died recently. That was the beginning. Now, they say the true satanic bands didn't come in until the 80s. That Ozzy and Black Sabbath and who else was it? Coven back then. There was another one. Led Zeppelin. I mean, a lot of these just used the imagery as, you know, it was part of their arts, and that the true satanic bands came later. Yeah, I mean, Ozzy, you know, bit a bat's head off. I mean, you know, a bat's head off. So I'm not so sure, but whatever. But all of that. That's what I mean. It's like the perfect storm of evil just descending on America in every way. And it came in through these leaders that were supposedly the best presidents and the best leaders for human rights and black rights. And yet, in my opinion, everything I've read, none of them were really ever on the side of America. They more aligned with the UN and wickedness than they ever did with America. No different than these people.